Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to welcome you to our press conference. I'm Jamie Story, president of the Grassroot Institute of Hawaii. In case you're not familiar, we are a free market, nonpartisan think tank promoting limited government here in Hawaii. We all know that the people of Hawaii feel many different ways about the Akaka bill, the problems it's trying to solve, and its effectiveness as a solution. However, I believe we can all agree about the need to quantify its effects on the people of Hawaii. Earlier this week, a legislator here at the Hawaii State Capitol asked the question in a committee hearing, how much does the Akaka bill cost? The answer given, it's uncertain. The bill is unspecific. It leaves much up for negotiation after its passage. But at any rate, it is irresponsible for the governor and for lawmakers to support the Akaka bill without knowing its economic impact on the people of Hawaii. So the Grassroot Institute went to the Beacon Hill Institute to find these answers. The Beacon Hill Institute has previously produced a taxes and economic model specific to the state of Hawaii, as they've done for 32 states across the country. They have produced here today very conservative estimates on the economic effect of the Akaka bill on Hawaii. And I think you'll find that these numbers are truly alarming and should also be considered by policymakers as they decide whether or not to support this bill. So without further ado, let me introduce you to the experts. We have Paul Bachman, Director of Research from the Beacon Hill Institute.
Thank you very much, Jamie. As Jamie said, my name is Paul Bachman, and I am the Director of Research for the Beacon Hill Institute, and I'm also a Senior Lecturer for the Economics Department at Suffolk University, located in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm accompanied by Sarah Glassman, the Director of Operations and a Research Economist for the Institute. I'm going to provide background about the Beacon Hill Institute and an overview of our approach to economic modeling. Sorry. Sarah will then come up and describe our methodology for the study in greater detail and present the results. Now, founded in 1991, the Beacon Hill Institute is a research arm of the Economics Department at Suffolk University. The Institute draws on faculty and student resources to produce readable and timely analysis of public policy issues. The institution specializes in the development of state-of-the-art economic and statistical models for policy analysis. The Institute provides testimony and analysis to the Massachusetts legislature and executive offices and includes state revenue forecasts on an annual basis. The Institute's publications and events have been subject to more than 1,000 reports, stories, opinion pieces in major newspapers and magazines throughout the United States. The Institute's State Tax Analysis Modeling Program, or STAMP, has been developed for over the past 15 years. As Jamie stated, we've built these models for 32 states, including Hawaii, and 4 local areas. We build them for institutes such as the Grassroot Institute. We've also built them for governments such as the Indiana Governor's Office and the City of Mobile, Alabama. Hawaii's STAMP is a comprehensive model of the Hawaiian economy. It is designed to capture the principal economic effects of taxes and other policy changes. Hawaiian STAMP is a 5-year dynamic computable general equilibrium, or CGE model. As such, it provides a mathematical description of the economic relationships between households, producers, government, and the rest of the world. It is in particular a tax and public policy model because it pays detailed attention to identifying the role played by different taxes and equivalent policy changes. STAMP has a reputation for accuracy. For example, in 2003, a STAMP model was used by the Manhattan Institute to estimate that a tax increase for New York City would destroy 62,000 jobs in the city. After this tax increase was implemented, the city's Office of Management and Budget revised downward its report of the number of jobs in New York City for 2003 by 63,000. Moreover, the Institute has consistently provided the Massachusetts Legislature's Joint Ways and Means Committee with the appropriate, with the most accurate projection of state tax revenues for budgeting purposes of those organizations invited to provide them. Now, the Akaka bill is particularly challenging from an analysis point of view due to its lack of detail and specificity. The two things that we do know are going to happen is that the bill will, one, create a native Hawaiian sovereign entity, and two, it will transfer land currently owned by the state of Hawaii to the new entity. Now, using this information, we constructed 3 scenarios assuming different quantities of land would be transferred from the state to the new entity. We then based our analysis on the experience of the Native American Indian reservations and the municipal governments that share borders and intersection of their lands. These relationships include the Native American tribes enjoying exemptions from state and local taxes and immunity from other laws, such as the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. Their members also retain the full rights of U.S. citizens. While on the other hand, local governments continue to provide many of the public services in newly acquired tribal lands. Now I'm going to turn over the podium to Sarah, who will provide more information about our methodology and the results in greater detail. Thank you.
Hi, as Paul said, I'm Sarah Glassman. I'm Director of Operations and Economist at Beacon Hill Institute. As Paul established, the one thing we're certain is that Native Hawaiian government stands to acquire land. As land is transferred out of the state of Hawaii, we can expect the state to lose revenue from lease payments and excise and income tax. We estimate the total revenue loss from these 3 sources to be between approximately $340 and $690 million annually. In response to the loss in revenue and an attempt to keep government spending neutral, the state will be forced to increase excise and income tax rates. With tax increases comes consequences to the economy, leaving individuals with less disposable income and putting downward pressure on economic activity. We found that if tax rates were increased to recoup lost revenue, the state can expect a loss of between 10,000 and 20,000 private sector jobs, which is double the unemployment rate currently, a decrease in investment between $200 and $417 million, a fall in disposable income between $700 and almost $1,500 per capita, which is about $6,000 per family of 4. Broken down even further, we estimate that employment, specifically in sectors affected by tourism would be hit the hardest, with a loss of between 4,000 and 8,000 jobs. The lower numbers reflect our lower case scenario. The greater numbers reflect our higher case scenario. So the more land that's transferred out of the state, the greater the loss in revenue, the greater the tax hike, and consequently the greater damage to the economy. It doesn't disqualify them from occurring or impacting the state. So again, we can draw upon the experiences of American Indian reservations as a guide. A potential consequence of the bill is the development of casinos on the transferred land, as we have seen on many Native American reservations. Although the bill states it doesn't actually authorize gaming facilities, the context of the bill is in United States law, which means that once the new government is deemed a sovereign entity, it's free to do as it pleases. And clearly, the establishment of casinos would have another round of consequences to the state. Another unintended consequence is the potential for legal conflict. Similar to Native American reservations, we can assume that activity that takes place on the transferred land would be immune, meaning that business and consumer rights as well as contractual obligations will be questionable. Furthermore, the uncertainty surrounding the outcome of the negotiations for the land transfer would likely depress new investment and even further hurt the state's bond rating, which could result in borrowing costs. Since these other unintended consequences or other unforeseen consequences are not quantified, again, our estimates are on the conservative side, and the state of Hawaii could expect the impact to be magnified. I'm going to pass it back to Jamie.
Thank you so much, Paul and Sarah. As you can see, a lot of work went into this research, and thank you all so much for all of the work you did in making it possible. One last thing before I open it up for questions, just want to remind any citizens of Hawaii to go to the grassrootinstitute.org, the Grassroot Institute website, where you can sign a petition that asks the legislature and Congress to allow citizens to vote on this legislation rather than it just being dictated from Washington, D.C.